Welcome to this Marketing for Small Businesses webinar sponsored by the VSU Center for Entrepreneurship and the Minority Small Business Launch Center. My name is Dr. Patrice Perry Rivers, and I am the director of the VSU Center for Entrepreneurship and the principal investigator for our Go Virginia funded Minority Small Business Launch Center program. Today, I'd like to just share with you a very, very brief video about our program for those of you guys who are unfamiliar with it. For those of you guys who have seen this video, then you are already familiar with what we do, but I just like to share this with everyone when they first come to our sessions. It's only about a minute and 40 seconds. Apologize for that. I have some people in the waiting room. I'm going to let them in before I share the video. Just a little bit about our project. We are an entrepreneurship pre-accelerator that's intended to increase the entrepreneurship participation rate of minorities and of other small firms that are in the Richmond MSA. We are supported by an array of regional partners, including chambers, entrepreneurship support organizations, municipalities, banks, the SBA, the SBSD, other higher ed institutions, and more. And what we offer are business development training and an array of services to current and prospective business owners to help you launch and to scale. Our grantor is Go Virginia. Go Virginia is a statewide initiative intended to foster private sector growth and job creation through state incentives and facilitating regional collaboration. We are funded by the Region 4 Council. We were fortunate to receive $453,000 from Go Virginia and another $240,000 in-kind and match funding from organizations and firms from across the region. And what I'd like to do now is I wanted to tell you a little bit about our speaker today, Mr. McFadden. Mr. McFadden is an author, he's a marketing speaker and a consultant with over 100 successful events under his belt. He actually provides value that is useful for small business owners in his presentations, and he has delivered seminar, workshop, and keynote speeches to organizations such as ArchX, the Metropolitan Business League, Connect 21, the Virginia Department of Small Business and Supplier Diversity, SBSD, which is one of our partners, and local chambers of commerce. He is also the featured marketing contributor to American Express Open Forum, and we are so thrilled to have him speak with you today about marketing for your small business. So what I am going to do is I'm going to turn this over to you, Mr. McFadden. Oh, Mr. McFadden, I have to ask you to unmute.
That is true. Nobody can hear me. Thank you, Patrice. I super appreciate the introduction. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Boop. And can everybody let me know if they can see my screen? Thumbs up, yay.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, perfect. And all right, to save some bandwidth, I'm just going to cut my video. Boop. All right, but yes, I saw the comments already. Marketing got this mystique, kind of can't be locked down approach and mystery, and I'm going to unpack that today. And in a lot of cases, what I'm going to talk about today you may relate it to marketing, or you may not relate it to marketing. But the truth is, and I believe this, and my company is built off of this, which is marketing is a process, and you can develop it as a process, you can implement it as a process, you can even buy marketing services as a process. And so I'm going to kind of highlight all that today in this presentation. Before I get started, I want to start by making an announcement, and that is professional wrestling is fake. Now, I knew some of you knew that, but a lot of you didn't. And once you learn that it's fake, somebody may have to mute their mic. Once you learn that it's fake, everything about it seems different. You start noticing the blood packs. You start noticing people pulling their punches and the referee's slow pin count. And suddenly, your world is transformed. And that's what I want to talk about today, is that learning to see marketing as a process and understanding the opportunity that it presents can be expensive if you don't get it. So we're going to dive right on in talking about this. And a lot of today, what you're going to be hearing from me is this theme of who and what. And it's going to come from this angle of identifying who and what makes an ideal customer for your business. But it's also going to come from the angle of when you identify and know the who, it determines the what for what you need to be doing from a tactical marketing channel perspective. So who determines the what from a marketing strategy of who in a tactical standpoint, and then also from just identifying your ideal customer. And the reason I stated that way is because I speak a lot, and I speak to a lot of small business owners. And it's this belief and notion that whoever has the money or the budget for what they sell is an ideal customer. And I think that's where we get into trouble, is because there are a lot of aspects to being a customer beyond just having the money and the need. And so we have to start by asking ourselves some questions. If you're an established business, I would say you have existing customer base and interactions, you need to ask yourself, who do you best serve? Because sometimes starting a business and being in business comes down to that. Who can you deliver the greatest value to? Who is actually motivated to solve their problem? Let me give you an example. I could have a toothache, or I could have back pain. I can have an outdated kitchen. I could have $80,000 in my bank account for a kitchen renovation. But just because I have the problem doesn't mean I'm motivated to solve it. I may have back pain, but don't want to spend the money to go to a chiropractor, right? So having the money alone is not a good indicator of a good customer for you. You have to understand the other factors that make them a great fit. Who values the thing that you do best? Every company is different. Some, I use this example a lot. Some people value that you show up on time and that you remember their name and that you call them back after a service. Some people value the fact that maybe you hire great people and that you clean up when the job is done, right? So the thing that you do best, who actually values that? And who can you get results for? If I asked you a question, if you're a service business and you only got paid if the customer got the result, then what are the things that need to be in place for you to take that risk? That if you only got paid after the customer got the result, how would you vet that person or that company so much to the point where you like, I can almost guarantee these results for them? So those are the questions you need to ask. Now, if you're a startup and you're like, well, Patrick, I don't have an existing customer base. I have those questions and interactions and data to pull from. So here's how you start. If you're a startup, you're going to have to pick the smallest market possible that thinks what you have to offer is special. So that's very important, that they have to think what you offer is special, that is unique, that can help them. Then you're going to have to create your initial why us, your hypothesis, and test it. Like, test your why, your value proposition. We often tell companies to test that in like discovery test sessions that allow you to get interactions with customers. So the problem with a startup is that you don't have enough interactions to pull from to test your theories and your why us and your offer. And so you have to create those type of sessions. Now that can come in sometimes one-on-one conversations, samples, demos, free consultations, sample offers, tasting if you're in food and those types of things. But you have to get out there and in some way, shape, or form test your offering and your why us in some type of environment. And then from that, you're going to develop then you're not an ideal customer, but an ideal prospect sketch from testing those things. What are you learning? And this is something that never stops. I'm going through this now in my own company. I recently met with a company that's 100 employees. They've been in business 30 years. And our core type of client needs business. They need lead generation. They need people calling them. But this type of client said, I don't need that. I just need structure. I need my marketing as a process. We have over 80,000 customers. We're big enough. In fact, we have over 50,000 unactivated customers. So having enough business isn't the problem. We need to get organized in how we conduct business and see. So that just shows you that's a different type of market that I then need to test my why us against them and how do we create a service delivery model that fits them. So essentially though, what I'm saying is, who is an ideal customer? When you ask yourself those questions, you're saying, who is my ideal customer? We identify ideal customer in two key characteristics. One is profitability. Is there a certain type of customer or engagement or problem or product or solution that's profitable for your business? You want to take that and identify that, list your customers out and say, where am I getting my profit from? Then from that profit standpoint, you want to look at talkability or referability. Who's also talking about you? Now, talking about you and referring you could come in different forms. That could be a testimonial, a Google review, a straight word of mouth referral. But you want to identify those customers that are profitable for your business because you need to make money. You need to be able to pay your people. You need to be able to do the things that come with the cost of running a business. And then you also need people that understand the value of what you bring to the table. And people who typically, that's actually a signal. The people that typically refer you, that talk about your business, that help promote you, understand the value you bring to them in their lives and that you could do that for others. And they want to share that value. So that's why that's important that they have those two characteristics, because they need to be able to talk about it to others. And the other part of that is you really want to make a study of these people, because when you're able to communicate who is a customer, you're also communicating who's not. And most people don't realize that what you state verbally and visually determines who you attract in the market. And that's even after the sale as well, not just up to the sale. So after this part, you want to move, this is where you're moving into the what of that. So what makes these customers so ideal? Was it the right type of problem, need, or they had the right type of conditions that suit well for your type of solution? Is it that they just value what you do? Is it that they're relationship driven? Maybe what makes them ideal is they're in a certain geographic area or a certain industry or a certain vertical of the market or a certain stage in their life, right? It could be a life cycle thing. There's certain, so what makes them ideal for you? Or are they just interested in hiring outside professionals? Um, so what makes them ideal? Once you start to take that, so you laid out a list of your customers and you said, okay, these are the type of customers or problems or services that are profitable. These out of that, these are also the people that refer us or talk about us in some way, shape, or form. We've kind of made a study and think about, let's look at this small segment of the market. That's our existing customer base. And we're like, okay, that kind of makes them ideal. Now you're going to dissect them. You're going to analyze them. You're going to comb over them. So you do that by a demographic standpoint, which, demographics from a B2C, which is business to consumer, could be gender, occupation, income, education, even illness. If your service offering, it may be a type of illness that you're trying to solve or cure or help support. Psychographics are in how they think. So it could be, what do customers think value is? Are they impulsive? Are they more analytical? So it's, how do they make buying decisions? Is it group based? Is it those types of things? Does the decision really heed on management staff, not the CEO? How do they make decisions? How do they think? Is it just geographic areas? I mean, some parts of town, you're going to get certain problems. To give you a real life example, we work with multiple pest control companies, and a pest control company in a more country suburban area has different types of pests than what they would have in more in a tight knit apartment type area. So maybe it's the geographics of just that. And the last one here is behavior. So how do these customers, I always say, what's the smoke signals for an ideal customer? How do they have to behave? And for example, do they have to care about their employees? Do they like to be the top of the industry? Do they support their own industry? Do they have community partners? Do they not beat people down for price? What's that behavior that makes that customer ideal? And I'm going to move. I know y'all I think y'all have a PDF, not a PDF, but like a business plan, marketing plan you're doing. I'm gonna move into the last aspect, which is can you quantify that? So I'm going to move into that later. But I just want to let you know I'm going to touch on it. Understand them. Do you really understand these clients that are best for your business, that are ideal? We in the marketing world, we have something called a timing trigger. Some people call it buying trigger. But what are their timing triggers? So what triggers them to even start looking, searching, vetting, seeking a solution, a service, or product? What has to happen in their world that triggers that? And then when that happens, what do they research first? What is the problem, or what is the priority for them? And then what's the benefit of finding a solution? So let me give you a quick example using something very basic as gum. Let's say you are creating some new gum that cures bad breath, right? So let's think about the timing trigger for that. Did you just eat onions for lunch? Have a big meeting? Going on a date? Those could be timing triggers. And then obviously I would say, well, yes. And I would probably look at, so from a research standpoint, it was just primarily looking at the gum to see if it cures bad breath, right? That's my problem. And then what are the benefits of finding this particular gum? Now that I've found this gum, I will have the confidence to walk into this business meeting. Now that you found this gum, you can rest assured that your date won't think you have bad breath, right? So the benefits of finding that gum have to be laid out. the reasons, the triggers that for me to even look for that gum have to be there. Research in terms of on your package, it needs to tell me that it's going to cure my bad breath. And obviously that's the problem. So do you understand them? Now I want to give two quick examples. So we work with a dental practice that they do focus on a segment of the market. They focus on baby boomers and Gen X because for them, they have the group of problems that they can best solve. They've set their whole practice up to focus on them. From how when you get introduced, they say, hey, the things they do to service you is all set up to deal with baby boomers and Gen X. And because they serve the who of baby boomers, the what is they limit their insurance. So they don't accept a lot of insurance because they're dealing with baby boomers and Gen X. And because of that, they want to avoid the young adult population because for them, they're just not profitable. Because most young adults are in good shape. They really don't have problems with their mouths. They want to use insurance, and this practice doesn't accept insurance. So you can see by the who determined a lot of the what for them and how they organize their practice experience, their patient delivery, their guarantees, their promises, all those things. Another one real quick is we work with a home service contractor where they just focus on specific geographic locations. Why? Well, one was it's gas, obviously, but the time it takes to get to you, right? That matters. That affects when you have a service-based business where you're doing the service at people's homes. The time it takes to get to you and the gas actually factors in the cost of the service. So they limit the amount of services they offer. They only want to be known for doing a couple things. And they also avoid homeowners who don't have beautiful yards. What they've identified is that if a client takes care of their yard, they're probably going to be a better fit for them to take care of their home and then want to invest in their services. So just a real quick example of how the who not only determines the what, but the things that they look for from a behavior standpoint. All right, now this is the thing. So all of that, but now you have to discover the places that your ideal customer hangs out. So some markets come down to the point where can you even reach these people? Yes, you have your business, you've set it up. You think that you have your your initial why us and things like that. And you're like, this is who it's for. This is who it's for. But the question is it big enough? And can you even reach these people? Sometimes if you can't reach them enough to build that know, like, and trust and touch them 8 to 10 times a year, it may not be just a good business because they're so hard to reach. So you have to be confident that you can reach the customers that you need. And so now it comes down to locating them. Where do they hang out? What do they read? What do they listen to? If they're going to be searching online, what do they search online? You got to be able to locate your customers. That's so important. And for this, I'm gonna go ahead and give you one of the biggest things you can do if you have an existing customer base, or if you're doing those initial discovery sessions. You'll just have to switch your questions up a little bit, but conduct customer interviews. Hey, why did you decide to hire us or buy from us initially? That's going to give you insight to what's working for your marketing. Is it your message? Is it your people? Is it your website? Is it all those things of a combination? Was it the one-on-one meeting that sealed it? What's the one must-attend event? What are the events you must attend? What are the things that they go to that you can go to and show up and get in front of that specific target? How do you like to stay up to date? How do you stay up to date in your industry? Is it email newsletters? Is it Facebook groups? That gives you insight of where to show up again, where you need to play. And then also the format of communication for you, possibly. How does your company or you make buying decisions? Is it a solo? Is it group-based buying? Those things factor into how long the decision-making process could be. It could be a long sales cycle if it's multiple people. If it's a single owner with that decision-making, then you could probably get that decision done maybe in 2 weeks or a day. What associations or events would you recommend we join? That's another good one. Maybe there are some pockets that these groups of people hang out that you never knew. Or some events that they just think that's the world, but it's not maybe highly attended, but it's for the right people. And the last one, which is the money one for today, what would you Google to find a business or a service like ours? What would you type in? We go even further when we do these interviews. We ask, when you do find them, what do you look for? And obviously today it's all across the board. I look for reviews. I look for their examples of people that they work with in the past. I look for associations that they're part of. People all have their different reasons, but you want to know them so you can structure your website in a way that tells the story that you're the, what I call the obvious choice. So what we call in our practice is the obvious choice web presence, which comes from knowing what your customer looks for and how they go looking for you and what they want to see. If you do nothing else, do this exercise. Now, if you're a startup, your questions are going to be a little different. I'll cover just three, maybe one or two of them. So if they, you have a current supplier, what are they doing for you, or, that maybe you don't like, or that you enjoy? If you could wave a magic wand, what would you do about this industry or the way that you're being serviced, or, those types of things. So you just want to ask different questions when you're a startup and you're just kind of in that one-on-one trying to build a relationship. You need as much insight and feedback as you can. Now, when we've done this for multiple companies, and here are the things and insights that we've found. We've done this for a healthcare consulting firm, and they found a hidden network called Vizient. Vizient is where all the the people who run the pharmaceutical departments and medical universities, all the directors hang out here. So this was a very, we was like, hey, do you hang out on LinkedIn? No, we hang out on Vizient. Vizient, even here, if you look, they have a bid system, a supplier category, supplier awards, vendor grievances. So they put together a vendor network for these medical universities, is what they call them, like BCU and UVA, where you have a medical component. And that's where they hang out, not LinkedIn, not Facebook, not Yelp. They hang out here. So our client knew to hang out here and post articles here and do those types of things. We worked with mental health agencies. And from that, we discovered a biz development opportunity where turns out, well, before COVID too, a lot of these agencies had weekly meetings where they would discuss who they're working with, what's going on, and they were open to having agency representatives come in and speak about the current market conditions and what's going on. We've helped the contractor revamp their contract management system. A landscaping company, we found out that how their ideal customers make decisions. They just said, I look at my neighbor's yard, and if it makes me jealous, I hire that company. That was literally how people said, it's like, I just walk outside, and if my yard doesn't look as good as my neighbor's, then I need to call that other company. So we work with an accounting firm that dominates Google searches, because usually most accountants don't focus online, even today. Most accounting firms can dominate online just from doing keyword research as local SEO. All right, now we're going to move to this point, because I want to get to your questions too, and also what you learned. So now this is around defining your customer journey. So many times in business, we often go from, hey, I heard about you, to let me sell you something. And in the startup and small business world, you have to understand that education is your greatest vehicle. It's going to be the thing that separates you. If you can educate customers on why to choose you, why to pay you a premium. And in fact, I say this a lot. If the customer wants little education, that probably means little price. The more education a customer wants, the higher probably the pricing, and the more they're willing to pay as well. So think about this. I call you up, hey, I need an electrician. I need to come out here and do my wires. Great. And they're like, if you start to say, well, I just want to let you know, tell me about your service. Just tell me the price. I don't want to know all that stuff. Just tell me the price. Oh, well, you're not gonna let me ask what your service area is and what's going on, why you need some wiring in your wall. And nope, I just want to know the price, right? Little education. They don't want you to ask them questions. They don't want to be educated. But then this person too calls and say, yeah, oh yeah, I have a bathroom I want to put in, or da-da-da-da, and I'm looking at this, but let me explain this. And then you can talk about all the different aspects. Now that you've provided more education, they're probably a customer is willing to pay, that's going to pay more and willing to pay more. So we have to add this element of education and sampling. And those are the two that I see often get missed. So we all know, so we put together this customer journey map where you got marketing, sales, and service. And the way you think about this is, how does a customer or prospect become aware of you? So you got to have some awareness tactics, channels. Once they become aware of us, how will we educate them on what we bring to the table, the problems we solve for them, how we will make them the hero, maybe, why choose us over others, right? So you have to have touch points that provide education. But even then, moving from there to just, hey, buy from me may not be a good idea. You may need to add an element of sample. So how does somebody sample your expertise, your product, your service? Is it through a demo? Is it through a one-on-one consultation? Right now, we do a lot of research with home service contractors. The biggest try and sample that we're hearing is picking up the phone. They're like, I just called to see if they'll pick up the phone. If they pick up the phone, that's how I try them out. That's what customers are saying right now. So you have to understand how people are going to be trying you out. Is it reading 20 or 10 of your reviews? Is it your testimonials? Is it your case studies? Is it a video that showcases what your service is like? There are multiple, you have to have in your marketing process, your marketing plan, ways for people to sample your business, your expertise. And then you can move to purchase. Now that I fully understand why I've sampled your experience, I understand the value you can bring to me, now I'm ready to say yes. But even then, when you get to purchase, we think about it differently. Once somebody says yes, what do they get access to? You see, in a lot of companies, once the customer signs and says yes to the service, now you may be able to get personal, even more personalized insight around your situation. Maybe you get kickoff meetings, introductions to the team, access to the client-only newsletter, right? You have to build up the value, not just up to the sale, but after the sale, because that's what real marketing is. It's not just up, it's after, because that's where you're going to get your referrals. Referrals come from from your service and your level of service. Because we've all been there where the marketing was great up to the point you said yes, and then when you got handed off, it turned to trash. So now you have to look at marketing as a outcome. So you're looking for one outcome from from your marketing, sales, and service, if you want to say functions in your business. Here's an example of how we map this out for a client. So this particular client, their customers find them through mobile desktop searches, corporate connections, PPC, an internal agency list. So some type of procurement's going on where the agency has their own list. Speaking, when it comes to education, they're going to educate these particular customers through their website, through the phone calls, newsletters, checklists, sample, demos, phone calls, case studies, videos. Purchase, once they say yes, they get an implementation plan. They get access to deeper service delivery. They get access to specific material, a kickoff meeting, an onboarding procedure. And then for referrals, they do check-ins. Hey, how's it coming? How are we doing? See, those are the opportunities that create referrals for you. Reviewing the results. Do you have a result review process in your business or your startup? How will you measure that you got the customer the result they wanted? Routine email campaigns. So those are the types of activities that generate referrals. Here's another tool that we use in our practice that we use for clients. So you think about it like this. What are the customer actions in each stage? So what do they expect in the awareness stage? Do they expect you to show up on Google? Do they expect you to be at a certain event? Do they expect you to have a demo? And then what do they expect from education? What do they expect from a sample? And then you address it. So our response, what we must focus on to participate in each stage. So to participate in searching, being found online, we have to do SEO. We have to do keyword research. We have to make sure our website is good. To participate in education, you may have to build maybe a script for your person answering the phone, or you may have to have some material or a very structured sales process. And then what are the recommended actions? So what projects, messages, campaigns, habits, processes, systems you must add or revise to participate in the journey with your client? All right. So we're now at this point where we're going to I'm going to stop this. And I want to take questions, or if you learned something, I want to hear what you learned or what you took away, what you enjoyed. Patrice.
I got
All right. I see Nita raised her hand. Go ahead.
Okay, I have a few questions. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so this is the part that I've been struggling with, right, as a startup company consultant. And I was kind of looking at my competitors, and I'm just going to be like real honest. I was looking at my competitors, and some things they had that I didn't offer or wouldn't offer, or maybe I can teach but wouldn't actually do, right? I was just like, okay, they're good, but not as good as me. But then in my own head, I'm like, why are you good then? You know, so it's just like, I think it's a confidence thing too, but on a marketing aspect. And then I kept going back and forth. Should I do F and Qs or should I not? Should I just do the little chat help thing and let people ask their question and I answer them? Or should I do both? It's like, but when you start up, you know, when you do your website and you put your stuff out there, you can only afford to do one or the other. Just let's be honest.
Yeah. So this comes down to the who before the what. So how do your customers like to be interact online? Do they like to do chat, or do they like to just call you up? Do they like to submit a form? Then secondly, what do you have the capacity to do well? So if you're not available to do chatting and people are going to be sitting there waiting for 10 minutes to you to get back to them, that's probably not going to be a good, first, it's not going to be good for them. Then it's not going to be good for you because you're not going to be able to provide the level of immediacy through chat that they need. So you have to look at, we work with certain clients where they'll say, if I can get somebody on the phone, I can close them like this. But if they submit a form, it's going to take us 3 to 4 hours to get back to them. So we eliminate forms. And it's like, well, you're going to miss out on all this extra business. Sometimes you got to do what you can do well. That's going to be the best experience for the customer.
Yeah. So you test that first?
Yeah, you can test it, or I would have conversations. If you can set up some one-on-ones, or yeah, you need the conversations to validate.
Okay.
Hey, when you're out there and you're searching on somebody's website, what do you are you looking for a free consultation? And a lot of times people just want to, in the consulting space, most people just want to hop on the phone.
That is true. And you know what I found though? I found that working with people in the word of mouth is the best thing in this business, right? They said, oh, she's knowledgeable. She did this for me. So the testimonials hit really strong. Credibility is important when consulting. And I found that surprisingly, even during the pandemic, it does not matter. When people are doing that business, a lot of people want to be in person. A lot of people want to be in person when you're dealing with their business. Some people will just give you what you need and let you do it online or maybe a Zoom or something, but others are like, no, I need to be there.
Now, I will say, if you can tighten up your messaging, so people fill out forms, but you got to make sure your messaging has to be on point enough for them to fill it out. So like on my company's website, if you go to indispensablemarketing.com, we don't have our phone number up there. You can only submit a form to interact with us. And we get a lot of form submissions. Now, also, I've been in business long enough where I get a lot of referrals too. So people just got my phone number.
Yeah.
But for a lot of new, they'll fill out that form because we have a process way that we vet people. So you submit it, we look at it, we do a little research on your website. If it even makes sense to hop on the phone, then we'll go ahead and email you back and set up a time. But if you submit, like we don't work with restaurants, we don't. And so if you submit it and you're a restaurant, just because you heard about us, but you didn't look at the website, I don't have to waste my time on the phone. I could just say, hey, we don't work in your industry, and then keep it moving.
But psychologically, that's a great move. because
Yeah.
now thinking about it, if I went to a website or if I wanted help, but if I really wanted this person and someone showed me, yeah, I'm gonna submit that form. I'm gonna wait on you until you call. You feel me? Like I'm
Yeah.
gonna keep looking at it, looking at you, looking at what you do until I get a call from you. So yeah, that's smart. That was a good
Yeah.
idea.
All right. I see. Is it, I don't want to mess up your name, but is it Joanteria?
Yes, sir, it's Juan Terry. I'm sorry. You're good.
Okay. Go ahead.
You're good. So I agree with everything you're saying. So when I advertise my daycare, I go on Winnie.com, Google Business. I have a website. I answer all different kind of forms all day long. Sometimes 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock. I work Monday through Sunday. It feels like because it's a nonstop inquiry. So how I put my business on the forefront of Hopewell, I advertise by video. I'm constantly updating my Google page. I had a Facebook page, but I got hacked. So it was through my business, and I constantly will update my account. And downtown, I'm part of Hopewell and Prince George City of Commerce, and I advertise you there as well. It's like a nonstop process. You don't sleep because your phone is constantly going off throughout the day, throughout the night, throughout the weekend. And I'm a nurse as well. So I own a daycare and I work as a nurse. And it's like I'm torn in two different places, my business and my career, trying to get my daycare investing and still investing in my center. So I have to work so I can leave money in my account to get things that I need for my center. Because the more you invest in your business, you can sit back and say, okay, I got this, I got this, I got this, I got this, I got what I need. Now I can, steady come out of my place of, going, clocking in, because I'm daily investing in my business. That's all. So I'm learning. It's my second year being in business, and I'm still learning.
Yeah, it's never stops. You'll always be testing, learning, revamping, eliminating services, adding services. And the pandemic caused everybody to look for daycare. So you've probably been experiencing the the increase in that.
Yeah, the highs and lows. Right now, I did have half and half state and half private, but what I offer here is different. We're a learning center. I teach Spanish sign language. We're reading in my center. So I'm heavily, promoting my center because it's just not a babysitting business. It's a daycare where you come to learn. So when I have parents come in, I do interview process because my center is based on education. I'm getting your child ready for kindergarten, Head Start, whatever they're going to. This is
Yeah.
where your foundation starts at. So when I'm doing this marketing program, I'm trying to strategize what does my center offer that anybody else in around Hopewell area does not offer. And mine is educational based. We are educational based learning center. That's not a babysitting, business. You come here to learn. I have certified teachers in my classroom teaching these kids.
Now I would also suggest you speak to those parents to ask them, those that have been with you for a little while, what is it that you're offering or that they're getting that they haven't gotten from another learning center? And then let that be the truth.
Yes, sir. We have we offer a Becca curriculum here, and it's Christian based. It's based on our phonics. So I love my parents. They ride or die. It's COVID parents right here. They're stuck. We stuck through thick and thin. And I appreciate everything they do, everything they put on Google review for me. I have a 5-star on Hopewell, and I pray to God I keep it till the years come.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, Kenya.
Hi, I have an accessory boutique. I also work full-time, and I've been open since I've had the business established since 2018, but I worked in a hospital, which I'm about to go back into. So we all know during COVID, I was at work all the time. So literally my business has been established since 2018. I've had 1 year of business, true, actually putting time towards the business. So marketing has been my hardest thing because when I started, of course, I could get models, photographers, and then COVID hit. So I had to learn to be my own model, my own photographer. I had to learn to do all the design, the website, everything. And then I realized with any type of retail, everyone wants social media. So now I'm working all the time and I'm trying to come up with these ads and trying to do all, because they say you need to post at least 3 times a day, every day. You need to interact for so many. So literally yesterday, I finally bit the bullet and hired a social media manager because I have the product, I have the delivery. I even do, I take time at least once a month and do pop-up shops. So I'm getting everything, but that social media marketing piece has always been what has hindered my business. So I have been talking about it and I said, okay, Kenya, you can't do everything. And that's one thing I've learned in all of these years, especially after COVID, because I literally was everything. Like I said, I was the model, the photographer, the web designer, all of my cards, my banners, everything I did, and they're nice, but it's draining. And if I could give anybody any advice, and especially listening to this and all the things that we need, the processes we need, I would definitely tell people, figure out what you're not good at, hire somebody that is good at it. Because as a small business owner, we want to do everything. I know marketing for me ain't it. So
Yeah, you have and anytime you're in that type of business, you have a content beast that you got to tackle. And it's because people want to see essentially people want to visualize what that piece looks like on me. So you have to have the models and the sheets to showcase the piece. And then in some cases, depending on your market, you may have to get into very descriptive. Like, you ever been to a restaurant and they tell you, hey, how you doing? We have some fresh, crisp picked tomatoes right from the Florida banks, right off the shore, was sprinkled with sea salt that came from the island of blah, 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 right? So you may have to get real descriptive too, depending on your audience and the price point. It just depends on the price point and those things. But I agree, yeah, you can't be everything. The key to outsourcing, though, is to have a solid strategy that then your social media manager can tap back into. Because I see a lot of checklist marketing where it's like, check, we did 3 posts today. Around what? Or focusing on who? So the key to outsourcing is to make sure that you're still over strategy and that you're saying, hey, I need you to march to this beat. And so you got to have your strategy so they can march to it. That's the secret.
Okay, thank you for that, because I hadn't even thought about giving her my demographics. I gave her pictures. She looked at my website, but we hadn't talked about the demo and everything else.
Yeah, you have to give them those marching orders so they can, because if not, even marketing marches to the business strategy. So when we're meeting with clients, we'll say, well, what's the business strategy? Well, I want to grow my business in this geographic area. I want to focus on these types of services. So, and I want to reach, I'm just making this up, 500,000. So, all right, so where's the 500,000 going to come from? You identify that area, these services. Now we know what to promote. We're going to promote services in the Chesterfield area. We're going to promote this. We're going to add it to the Google My Business profile, to the website. Hey, are there any associations in Chesterfield that we need to join? So the business strategy gives the marching orders to marketing. But in your case, because you have a subset of marketing, you need to give them the marketing strategy so they have the marching orders.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, Precious.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
I know you were saying you wanted to hear what we learned, and then if we had any questions, I wanted to point out something that really stood out to me in the beginning of your presentation was don't always look to market to individuals that you feel is within the financial bracket of what you're selling. And that really stood out to me because, a lot of the times when we don't have the funds, if we see something that we truly desire, we'll find a way to get it. Regardless of, paycheck to paycheck or anything like that. But if it's something that we truly desire and find value in, we're going to pay for it. So that really stood out to me to make sure that with my own business, I'm not just looking to advertise to those who are within the financial brackets of what I'm offering, but to be able to sell the value of the company, of the services that I'll be offering for people to buy into it.
Absolutely.
my question would be kind of touching on the social media marketing platform. You know, these days it seems like a lot of individuals or companies or businesses are relying almost seems like solely on social media marketing and paying for those ads and paying for the influencers to, if it's a clothing thing, paying for an influencer to wear their clothing video in their videos and things like that. How profitable do you think would be able to be with just using social media, and how much do you think that you should really be investing in that marketing type, or like the last young lady say, trying to be a part of all marketing avenues, social media, mailers, of course word of mouth is always good, and different things like that?
Yeah, so I bash social media a lot actually, because depending on so here's my belief. Social media is where the evidence of your success lives. It's not the tactic that creates it. So if you had a bad, crappy product, no amount of social media is going to save you. If you don't know how to sing, it doesn't, if you have a crappy service, so the evidence of you being a great chiropractor, a great singer, having a great back product is where social media, the evidence of that lives on social, right? So really, social hasn't really created success. It's amplified the success that somebody's already having. So if you make a great bracelet and then you put it on social may have gotten you more awareness, but if you didn't create a great bracelet in the beginning, it wouldn't have mattered. And so it's where the evidence of that success lives is not the creator of it. And a lot of times, so what I say is focus on making so that awareness to referral, focus on having that be the best experience possible, and then let people do the talking for you on social. So you may not need to create the best bracelet if you have the best checkout process, that you have the best process for how you get the bracelet to somebody and how you service and maybe follow up with them. So you see my point? And then where I think you talked about a little bit real quick, like where should you be doing everything? No, I think you need to pick 3 that based off your research makes sense for you with the resources of time, energy, attention span, and money that you have, and just do those 3. But if you had to, I would say focus on your customer experience above all, and let that solve your social media problem. So people could talk about like, oh my God, they're so amazing. The way I got my bracelet and it came this way, it came in this package. They told me how to take care of my bracelet. It gave me aftercare instructions, and they even gave me a phone. Like let people do the talking for you, and then they'll solve your social media problem.
Okay, and then another question. So I know a lot of us are taking this course because we're interested in the pitch grant opportunity through Downtown Hopewell. If you had to go in front of, an audience and try to pitch your business, one of the questions may come up, well, what is your marketing strategy? How exactly would you bullet point that to, of course, break it down into I guess you would say, an elevator speech?
Who's it
Well,
for?
I would love for you to provide your instruction here, but I was going to show them a template. So please provide your feedback, and then what I'm going to do is direct them to some of the resources that we have through the program that will help with that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll just put it in a real, who's it for, what's it for, and what's the transformation you're seeking to make?
Okay.
All right. So this has been wonderful, hasn't it? Let's thank Mr. McFadden for you speaking with us and for you sharing all of your wisdom. So I just want to say so much that we appreciate what you shared, and I can imagine that many of our business owners will be able to use what you have shared today. It was very practical and accessible, and so thank you so much for this information. And I wanted to just direct you guys to a couple of resources. You guys are probably aware of this, but when you sign up for the Minority Small Business Launch Center, then you have access to our pitch competition template. You only get access to it after you've done that whole certification program, where you've actually thought about what resources you have and what skills and abilities that you possess and ones that you may need to outsource, which is along the lines of what Mr. McFadden articulated today. But there's some really practical things that you can expand upon based on what you learned from Mr. McFadden today. We have this simple slide that compels you to think about who your target market is in specificity, as he shared. And so after you think about, demographic, psychographic, behavioral, and geographic, we're asking you to quantify your customers. If you're at a pitch competition, investors are interested in this because they want to get some idea of your market size. And so then what we've done is we've given you some links to some free Census Bureau resources where you can get the data enabling you to quantify your target market, even to the zip code level. If you need some assistance once you get to that website, then you can feel free to reach out to us in the Center for Entrepreneurship, and then I can either train our small business consultant on how to do it, or I can provide you with some direction myself. Then you're able to establish who your target market is very, very clearly, at least your primary target market, so that that's articulated in your pitch competition, and it's clear that you know exactly who you're trying to reach, as Mr. McFadden talked to us about today. Understanding who your competitors are, and then also what is unique about your product. What's your unique selling proposition? What market needs you fulfill, what needs for your customers you fulfill, just understanding that really well. And that's going to end up really helping you to establish a marketing communications plan. And this is a really high level summary of things that you need to focus on in more depth, but you can use these tools that we've given you to kind of write down the things that you have learned about today and really put together an evolving plan that you'll be able to access as necessary in order to improve your business, and perhaps even as your business changes. So that's just a resource there for you. I also wanted to make sure that I took you to the VSU Entrepreneurship website. I don't often reference this because you normally go into the Minority Small Business Launch Center website, but we've got a site where we've vetted probably about 200 different resources, and I would say the bulk of them are on marketing. So there are various free websites that you can access that will help you with identifying your target market, getting industry research, finding some guerrilla marketing strategies that you might be able to use, tell you where you can get marketing data, provide you with some templates for marketing planning, and even for web marketing and etc., other aspects of marketing. So this is a really good website for you to access, and it's just at vsuentrepreneurship.com, and then you go here to the tools link. I'm going to put this in chat for you. I hadn't intended to share this, but I wanted to make sure that you guys had access to those resources. And the last thing I want to mention to you is that when you go to the Minority Small Business Launch Center website, one of the things that you're able to do right now that you won't necessarily be able to do, certainly not for free after this program has ended in July of 2023, is you can join any one of the 3 chambers that we have relationships with. And so what I can tell you is I haven't yet gone to any of the events held by the Central Virginia African American Chamber of Commerce. I'm sure that they're wonderful, but the events that are held by the Metropolitan Business League and by the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, which are 2 of our core partners, are excellent. Even though the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, I think some of you that don't have a very specifically focused Hispanic target might not think there's value, but I think there's great value. I've attended some of their webinars, and they're just useful for business owners, period, as have almost every one of the events that has been sponsored by MBL. So make sure that you take advantage of their resources. And finally, when you go to our training events tab and you look at all of these different events that are here, we're not only listing the events that are part of our cohort. You are attending these events that are part of the required cohort. There are other events that you can attend that are useful. We have all of the Richmond Region SBA and the Virginia events available for you, and then any events that are offered by the SBSD that they have that you can attend, and by other institutions even that are in the state of Virginia, including George Mason and sometimes VCU. And so we are making all of those available to you here. Lighthouse Labs events, so you can come to this calendar and get access to how you can attend really all of those different events. So I just thought I'd mention all those different things to you so that you can actually write down a lot of the things that Mr. McFadden shared. His video should be up in 3 days for you to access it again. We'd like to thank you so much for all of this wonderful information that you shared with our cohort. And I want to ask you if you had any closing remarks or anything else that you'd like to say before we end this session.
Go make a ruckus.
Okay. Well, again, thank you so much, everyone, for attending. And we are so excited about your success. Everyone have a wonderful, safe, and successful week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Thank you.